Channel 4 News, working for you. Live with breaking news.
First, an apparent twister forms, and it's captured on video. Now the aftermath. This view from Air 4 shows what's left of a farm in southern Kentucky after powerful storms swept through.
I'll tell you, when you see a truck that looks like this flipped over on its side and completely smashed in, you know this was a pretty powerful storm.
Let me take you to the video that our crew shot when we arrived here. Exclusive video of both the suspect and this officer arriving here to Vanderbilt today.
They heard the noise that came from this explosion and they were running from their homes. This is a car you're seeing. I think it was a car for sale, and you can see it was really pancaked by debris that flew from the gas line explosion.
Firefighters at a Nashville warehouse had to keep their distance as flames spread to a propane tank this morning.
We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of first-degree felony murder.
Guilty on all counts. It took just 2 hours for the jury to convict a young mother of murder. Now Lindsay Lowe is on her way to prison after an emotional trial. Good evening. Welcome to Channel 4 News at 5. Our breaking news coverage continues now.
Air 4 is flying over. This is Holder's Tobacco Warehouse. It's right near downtown Hartsville.
A really busy day for firefighters here in Trousdale County. As you can see around me at 5 o'clock, this thing is continuing to smolder, and there are firefighters literally all over the place. This is the part of the building that sustained the most damage. About a third of this warehouse was destroyed. In fact, we have a few flames still on the roof line. But I want Sky to show you down there where you see those ladder trucks. That's the big focus right now because there's a firewall there, and they want to make sure what happened to a third of this building doesn't happen to the whole thing. As people gathered to watch a piece of Hartsville history burn today, Nathan Blankenship did the same, except with remorse, because he was the one who started it.
It breaks my heart. I didn't mean for it to happen.
Nathan and 2 other roofers set out on a typical patch project at Holder's Tobacco Warehouse this morning, but their butane torch sparked a flame Blankenship could not control.
A lot of people drive their cars here to Title Max for obvious reasons, just not into the Title Max building. You can see the fellows here are hard at work covering up the gaping hole where the car hit.
Let me show you something. Right now, I'm standing next to an RV flipped on its side, and if you follow me around to the back of it, what you'll find is just more of the same. Several homes roofless and severely damaged. We've got people's belongings strung out all over the place. The amazing thing is that no one was seriously hurt, but just like you're about to hear, there were several close calls.
Pardon my messy house.
Brandy Westbrooks is laughing, but she isn't kidding. Her home is now the scene of a disaster.
I rounded the corner
And her night, a nightmare come true.
it was definitely a matter of seconds.
The storm came fast and without warning. Coble's tornado sirens run on electricity. The electricity was out. Westbrooks had to make an unimaginable decision, which of her 3 kids to save first.
The first bedroom I come to, that's who I snatched out.
Westbrooks says she picked up and launched her son down the hallway.
My little boy, he said, Mama, I think we need to pray.
Earlier today, there was a huge gaping hole, and a big, out-of-control truck was driving through and plowing through as people were trying to get out of the way. It was a close call for a customer and an employee when a Ford Expedition came crashing through this jewelry store in Lebanon.
Take a look at that. So a dramatic rescue occurred here just about an hour and a half ago. This truck just careened off of I-65. You work in this business, you see the best of humanity and the worst of humanity. We've seen the best of humanity.
Tonight on Channel 4 News at 6, behind these doors, in these buildings, at the heart of state government, the Channel 4i team found huge government waste. Something so simple, so obvious. Now you're paying for it every minute of every day.
That could be money that saves state jobs.
The Channel 4i team investigates.
In investigative journalism, you can only hope that your stories will have an impact. We just never expected what's happened over the past year. 3 separate I-team investigations resulted in criminal charges. Prison's rough, right?
You're in a cell all day, the food isn't good, little to no communication with the outside, right?
I believe I'm smoking better than everybody.
Well, welcome to Prison Life 2013. Drugs, smokes, mounds of snacks, cash, getting tattoos, the freedom to make music, even set things on fire, using forbidden technology to show it all off on Facebook.
This is the penitentiary, you hear me? Back there relaxing, you know what I'm talking about?
Relaxing, eating pizza, getting high, while you're paying for them to be here.
Anybody who sees those videos, they're going to be sickened by it, they're going to be angered by it.
And we're not talking about just a few inmates who figured out how to get on Facebook. Not 10, not 20, not 50. A Channel 4 I-Team investigation found more than 100 inmates in Tennessee prisons with Facebook pages. Their profile pictures taken inside their cells. Pages the inmates are operating from behind bars to communicate with family, friends, fellow gang members, even with inmates in other prisons.
I guarantee you that when the commissioner sees this, there's going to be a reckoning, and there should be.
You know, these are murderers, rapists, and other convicted criminals, and they appear to be having a pretty good time in prison.
And I don't like it, but it's a problem that we face today, and it's something that we work hard on every day.
And once you see the videos, you'll see why crime victims advocates like Verna Wyatt are infuriated. What we've uncovered is like a highlight reel of audacity.
That's the world right there.
That's convicted murderer Rivera Peoples. Here's the contraband iPhone he uses to make the videos. Listen to his buddy talk about getting high behind bars.
I believe I'm smoking better than everybody.
Menace to society has use of social media, and that's just wrong.
These victims' families say when the criminals were sentenced, they never imagined them watching TV or burying themselves in junk food. Is this too extravagant for a guy to have who's behind bars?
But it's obvious the inmate is trying to be flagrant and showing us all this property and all this commissary. Obviously, it's an issue.
We asked the Tennessee Department of Correction how all of this can be happening while correctional officers are watching.
It's not an issue of not enough correctional officers. It's an issue of a nationwide problem that we're facing with cell phones and the struggle to stay on top of it.
Sometimes the inmates on Facebook even surprise their own friends and family with their freedom. We found several posts with people writing on inmates' Facebook walls, "How are you locked up?" and on Facebook.
Every Department of Correction struggles with contraband. It's something that I'm not proud of, but it's a reality.
I think my first question would be, how is this happening?
Obviously, someone is bringing the phones in. The state's own records show in a year's time, only one person, Jeanette Elliott, who was visiting an inmate at Northeast Correctional Complex, has been busted for trying to bring a cell phone into a prison. But as a result of our investigation, more than 50 phones were found. As soon as the Channel 4 I-Team brought our findings to the state, they immediately launched investigations in 14 prisons across the state, finding 53 cell phones, drugs, and a deadly weapon. 70 inmates now face disciplinary actions for having Facebook pages, and their Facebook pages now shut down. Both Marino and White's pages are now gone.
This Gatlinburg Mountain Resort is where 225 employees for the State Vocational Rehabilitation Department
look right here at the camera and smile.
Spent 4 nights and 5 days for 3 days of training on your dime. But when you get some of those state employees talking, even they're not quite sure why they're here. That's right. That state employee told us at the conference on hidden camera there's no accounting for the logic to it. But the Channel 4 I-Team started hearing complaints just like that weeks before the conference even started. So we traveled to Gatlinburg and listened. The agency's assistant commissioner explained why they were there, and it sure wasn't to reward a job well done.
Some of you may be wondering why you're here. We have had a steady number of complaints from consumers. The complaints range from staff not returning phone calls, staff not showing up for appointments, lack of due process, and timeliness of services.
It's no secret that this agency has problems. The assistant commissioner told the group that the agency was tasked with helping 17,000 people with disabilities find work last year, and only 1,900 of them found jobs. So for the next few days, workers heard speakers, watched PowerPoint presentations, and spent each night socializing on their own at the Park Vista Resort. We watched long lunches, 15-minute breaks that stretched into 45 minutes, and 3 meals a day, all paid for by taxpayers. Cost for the trip? Hotel, over $79,000. Supplies, over $5,900. Speakers, over $2,200. Meals and mileage, over $43,000. Total bill to you, the taxpayer, over $131,000.
You know the drill. Show your ID, take off your shoes, empty your pockets, screen your bags, screen your body, and at last you are allowed into the secure area of the airport. And it's not just you, pilots have to go through it. Everybody has to go through it, right? Wrong. You're about to see just how many people enter Nashville International Airport, bypass security, carrying all kinds of bags, and get right into where the planes take off.
Do you think that this is a secure airport?
No.
This former TSA worker and this former TSA supervisor came to the Channel 4 team to expose what they say are real security problems at Nashville's airport.
It is out of control.
To see it, you need to do what the Channel 4 team did, and that's show up at the airport at 2 a.m. That's when it starts. One airport employee after another showing up at this door, many carrying a bag, some carrying two. They swipe a badge and go right in. Less than a minute later, they've bypassed security. No metal detector, no body scanner, no one's even looking in their bags.
Because they have access to the bags, the planes. They have access to the entire airport.
We're talking about more than 5,000 employees who work all over the airport, from TSA employees to security at the gate.
How easy would it be to slip in some kind of dangerous device into Nashville International Airport?
It would be fairly easy.
The concern isn't just about the employees, it's also about who might use those employees to slip items past security. We wanted to find out how easy that would be. Watch this. This janitor swiped his badge and went inside the door, leaving behind his cleaning equipment. So I took a harmless ink pen, walked over to his cleaning supplies, and dropped it inside. When he came back out the door, he picked up his supplies and carried it right into the secure area. He never knew. Just imagine if this pen had been something dangerous. 6 a.m., September 14th. Michael Brown and his family awake to the front door being kicked open.
We woke up to being jerked out by our wrist out of our beds.
When the lights came on, Brown could read their jackets, Secret Service.
And they said they're here to start a search warrant for Romney's tax returns.
And this is it, the search warrant obtained by the Channel 4 team, making it clear Brown is the suspect. It was all spelled out. The Secret Service was here to find anything on Mitt and Ann Romney's tax returns.
Well, my first reaction was kind of like, you gotta be kidding me.
Did someone hack into a Franklin company's computers
and get Mitt Romney's tax records?
Brown says all he knew about the theft of the Romney's tax returns was what he had seen on television. How an anonymous group on September 5th had claimed to have hacked into the network server of PricewaterhouseCoopers in Franklin and had stolen the Romney's tax returns dating before 2010. And in an envelope containing a flash drive and a letter was a threat. If $1 million in online currency wasn't paid, those returns would be released to the media.
They made it very clear that they were just absolutely certain that I was a mastermind behind the whole thing.
A Franklin man has been indicted over what prosecutors call an extortion scheme involving Mitt Romney's tax returns. The Channel 4 team broke the story in November that Michael Brown was being investigated.
Channel 4 News is working for you.
there are big changes ahead for every driver in Tennessee.
That's why we're fighting in court to uncover the truth.
Channel 4 is working for you on Capitol Hill.
And we have several reporters working on the story right now.
Tonight, Channel 4 News is digging deeper into plans for a new police precinct.
The ER report shows she was laying there for days. I mean, what would you say to that?
So some doors just weren't closing.
Wasn't closing.
So now that problem has been fixed?
Yes, sir.
But that's exactly what happened to an Antioch congregation. When they couldn't get answers from their minister, they called the Channel 4 I-team.
That's 2.5 times more than was predicted.
We decided to dig a little deeper. Where did that number come from? The race could have big implications on a district struggling now to succeed. Channel 4's Josh Devine is working for you with the bottom line.
Let there be light, and a lot of it at Legislative Plaza in downtown Nashville.
You can never turn the lights off when you leave. They're just always on.
State Representative Sherry Jones says in her 20 years here, the lights in the offices and halls stay on 24/7. Don't believe it? Watch for yourself. We let our cameras roll all afternoon, overnight, into the next morning, and they stayed on the entire time.
Well, 2 crashes like this in just one morning obviously had us asking a lot of questions.
That's right. So how many crashes has Metro had this year, and what happens to the driver after the incident? Well, we took those questions to Metro administrators.
And while he tried to avoid reporters today, we did get him to answer some questions.
Do you have anything to say to the voters?
Well, I'm here today because this is an attack on my family.
As for Desjardins, all he would say about the allegations is this.
It's election year, and it's just as you said, allegations.
You're battling for your life, and you shouldn't have to worry about somebody coming in and taking your things.
These 2 women are the latest to say they're the victims of a crime spree uncovered by the Channel 4 I-team. To try and catch it happening, the Channel 4 I-team hired IGB and set up hidden cameras in an apartment. Our video showed Zach Jones casing out the costume jewelry we hid, even digging through jewelry we stashed in a bag in the closet. And when we returned to pay them, they were gone. And so were 3 of our hidden cameras. One of our cameras he didn't see captured him holding one of our missing cameras. We later tracked Jones down by phone. And that's what our cameras showed, is you going through drawers, closets, and in through a box looking at jewelry. You want to explain to me why you were doing that?
Sir, any cleaning company, sir, you are supposed to wipe down everything.
You're not wiping down these surfaces, sir. You're looking at this jewelry. You're scoping it out.
Sir, let me tell you something, sir. First off, sir, I don't steal.
Ithaca Black Jones also told us by phone she didn't steal anything.
I don't know anything about your cameras.
When these cancer patients saw our investigation, they immediately recognized the husband and wife team.
It was like, oh my God. There they are.
We've identified 13 people so far who say they had their homes cleaned by IGB and had fine jewelry and money stolen.
He got the hundreds.
From $2,000 in cash hidden in Edna Urie's bottom drawer in Kingston Springs.
I was devastated, absolutely devastated. I felt like that I had just been molested.
But drivers started complaining to Channel 4. Others are breaking the rules and not getting ticketed for it.
Oh yeah, I see it all the time.
One driver got so fed up with his daily commute, he emailed Channel 4 for help, saying, quote, "It's gotten beyond out of control." So we watched the commute for ourselves. We set up a camera along the road during the morning rush hour and again during the afternoon rush hour. So we took the video back here to the station and paused it to look at each car. Out of about the 200 cars we could clearly see into, 156 of them appeared to have a driver riding solo.
Look at all of these complaints. We've got hundreds of comments on our Facebook page, most of them from people saying they either didn't hear the sirens or they never went off. It's the sound people expect to hear when a twister gets close. But here in Coble,
I mean, it happened so fast.
That warning never came.
They have been tested 2 or 3 times and worked then, but they've never went off when we've had warnings.
Channel 4 started asking questions and found out these sirens run on electricity. The electricity was out because of the storm. According to the emergency management director, backup batteries cost money and have to be replaced every 5 years. Hickman County, he says, can't afford it.
After months of investigating, requesting interviews, and repeated phone calls and emails, we went to their house to get answers. Mr. Edwards. When Bill Edwards came home and saw us, he immediately drove away. Mr. Edwards, can I ask you a question?
A few hours after we started asking questions about the medical records, we came back here to the Antioch office and saw this sign on the door. It wasn't here earlier, and it directs patients where to go to get their medical information released.
There are a few things you absolutely must have on your boat. Life jackets for each person, you knew that, a fire extinguisher, and a throwable flotation device. You don't want to get caught without them. Officers will be looking. In fact, they already are.
I'm an investigative reporter with the NBC affiliate in Nashville, Tennessee, and you just happened to call an investigative reporter who's been doing stories on this. You just talk with my supervisor, you can sure, yeah, put your supervisor on. That'd be great. I was on hold for a while.
When you look at a building where the lights are on 24/7, is that a drain on the taxpayer?
When severe weather strikes, only Channel 4 goes with you with live streaming video on our mobile app and a tool no one else has, Real Live Radar. Lisa Spencer and Forewarned Live Doppler Radar, only on Channel 4.
Look at the condensation funnel we reference when we're talking about tornadoes. That's that lowering that extends down from the cloud base. That is very well defined today. So that's a number one, a good sign that the tornado was quite strong. But number two, a good sign that we just had tremendous moisture, tremendous humidity in the atmosphere to work with to make that cloud. That's in fact a cloud toward the base of the cloud that extends into the lower part of the funnel, and then the very base of the funnel itself is probably some debris, perhaps some of the field being picked up, some parts of that farm that got hit being tossed around. So just a really awful tornado.
One person has been killed actually in the Abernathy Road area. Somebody tried to take shelter in a shed and the shed blew over, and so there has been one fatality in the metro area as these storms have moved through. What you're looking at is some structural damage there. This is from Mount Juliet, and we saw this report earlier of the top floor of a 3-floor building that's basically been, the roof has been ripped off and then the top floor has blown in, basically. So you see damage there. That's right in the vicinity of what was a very strong area of rotation in the Mount Juliet area in Wilson County. So now we're starting to see pictures of the damage that has happened as these storms have moved through. The current situation right now, the strongest area of rotation that we're monitoring is in western Clay County. It's moving towards Salina, so you need to be in your tornado safe spot right now. It's moving just to the east of Red Boiling Springs, but it's going to be in Salina within the next 10 minutes or so, and then other areas of rotation up and down this line.
So if you're in those communities, make sure you head to your safe place, and that is going to be, if you've got a basement, that's fantastic. If you don't have a basement, then you'll want to head to the lowest level of your home, and that's maybe a bathroom or a closet. Take some pillows in there with you, blanket. If you've got a sports helmet of some kind, that also can add extra protection when we have the potential of a tornado moving through. And the storm is headed very close to Murfreesboro. And Paul, we've got someone on the phone.
We do. We have John Jewell from Wilson County. I'm going to toss him in just 1 second, but I just want to emphasize what Lisa said. In Murfreesboro right now, you need to be in your safe spot immediately. We are going to talk to John Jewell from Wilson County because we have had reports of damage. Mount Juliet in Lebanon. Mr. Jewell, thanks for talking with us real quickly. What are you seeing right now in Wilson County?
We've had our weather team on line since about 1:32 this morning. Things are a little bit sketchy. There is apparent damage in the Mount Juliet area. We had a report of one of the restaurants there on Lebanon Road had a roof off. We've been investigating the area, and there have been some other situations around the county of limbs and wires down. We had one brush fire a little bit ago that was set off by a downed power line. We are investigating those calls as they come in the Mount Juliet area.
It's really nasty out there, a lot of wrecks.
Yeah, we have a picture actually to show you from our TDOT camera right now. The roads are extremely slick.
Because the snow is going to continue here all day throughout the afternoon. Here in most of Middle Tennessee, we're talking just about a morning thing.
This is the path that the tornado took according to one resident, just before 2 o'clock this afternoon. It took out that house. That is the main house. Now, that house you're looking at, we're on the Roby Farms. Let me give you a little backstory here. Roby Farms, hundreds of acres of dairy farm, corn and wheat. But when the owner, Lee Roby, saw this tornado coming through straight at that house, he took 2 employees who were next door at the office, his mother, put them in the bathtub, and he was on top of them because he did not want the tornado to injure them. And it's just an amazing, amazing sight here.
And the latest sweep just came on by, and notice that hook is even more well-defined. So again, if you're on the south side of Franklin right now, down, it looks like 431, we'll put some streets back on here. You need to be hunkered down in your safe spot.
The train spotter said he did see a tornado that was about 6 miles west of Franklin. So this is the signature that we're tracking right now, the most likely spot that this tornado is located.
And with this type of setup, with such a great amount of wind energy farther up in the atmosphere, we could see some wind gusts over 70 miles an hour out of those thunderstorms. And with a line of storms like this, a lot of times you can get these little areas of rotation that develop, and that means we're under an elevated threat of a couple of tornadoes to spin up as well.
Tonight at 6, he was just 15, a kid really, accused in the murder they'd come to call Nashville's crime of the century.
They played their dirty tactics to try to break me down, but I didn't break.
He's now a grandfather, but the stain of suspicion has never really come clean, and he's trusted me to tell his story. And tonight, for the first time, Jeffrey Womack, falsely accused for more than 30 years, relives the night it all started.
I mean, we weren't him. He was a suspect, but we didn't have to, when you go out there and arrest him, while the fix is in.
That if Jeffrey had just cooperated with him, you know, probably all this would have blown over. Except that Jeffrey would probably be in the penitentiary for the rest of his life.
You don't get an acquittal. You don't have your day in court. So you're a suspect forever.
They were just wrong. And when you're wrong and you have that much power, bad things can happen.
That name is going to be with him forever. Marcia Trimble, Jeffrey Womack, will be in history forever. The innocence of Nashville, innocence of a kid. I hope that he can find peace. I hope that he can find love, that he can love himself, genuinely love himself. He hasn't been able to do that because everyone has named him unlovable. Nashville needs to let Jeffrey go and try to live a good life.
Sometimes it's hard being me. Perception. When people look at you. Someone found out who I was. Their attitude towards me the first couple of times after they found out who I was not the same. When I spoke to them, it was not the same. They'll never end. Really? How's it gonna end? When you hear this, it starts over again. Somebody asked me one time, how'd you get involved in this? And I said, just lucky, I guess. Maybe God put me here not to confess some murder I didn't commit. Maybe that's true.
I never have really believed it. It just didn't set. I like for things to sit well with my spirit inside and me. And if it doesn't, then there's something wrong with it. It didn't occur to me, I don't think, that I should pick up the phone and call him or knock on his door. I was concerned that he might be afraid of me because I was this, you know, this strong character, the religious, crazy woman. I was just a mother of 2 children and a wife and a homemaker and a kindergarten teacher and somebody who wanted the truth, the answers, the true answers of Marcia's death.
It's been said that the facts are many, but the truth is one.
And in the end, one brief life touched us all.
Wherever heaven is, she's there.
Tonight at 10, gather round to hear a true fright, a tale of a real ghost on Halloween night. She haunts mid-Tennessee and was a Confederate spy. We'll visit her home so you can scream, I mean see her with your own eyes.
And I see colors with music.
Start spreading the news.
Trumpet soloist and singer Ron Michaels has a new gig. The spot's downtown Clarksville. Shows start in the morning, run 7 to 8 hours a day.
Sick dance, I wanna.
But for Michaels, that time just flies when he's in that zone.
And I mean never.
Well, I played for Tony Bennett. I played for Tom Jones, Rosemary Clooney, Patti LaBelle, Frida Payne.
I think I hurt myself.
But before life, performing on stages and streets, Michael served in the Vietnam War playing with the Army Band.
We were musicians. We just played where Bob Hope wouldn't go, that's all. I was scared, but I was never, I never thought I was going to die. I was hitchhiking home. I got spit on. Well, it wasn't too nice. When I was hitchhiking home, it was just miserable the way they treated us.
Look bright.
But now living in the Army community of Clarksville, Michael says things are so different.
And I think to myself.
And over here, they treat you with respect. And I'm surprised. I'm not used to that. I'm really not used to that.
Hite decided to stop by this small church in Columbia, insisting he meet the pastor.
And so we pulled him into the office and said that he was mixed up in the Aryan Nation and the KKK, a former lieutenant, and that he wanted to be saved and he wanted to give it up.
Pastor Christopher Taylor says he was doubtful, concerned. Someone who spent most of his life hating black people, suddenly having a change of heart.
When he poured out his heart and cried out to me, you know, to see another man cry to another man, that lets me know that he was very sincere.
Everybody says, well, why did you go to a black church? Well, I had to know. I had to know that it was no different, just only in skin color.
The next day, Hite showed up for Sunday service and stood up, sharing his past with the congregation.
And he asked them, he said, please don't judge me. And I told him we're not the type of church that judge anyone for anything they do, because we all have a past. We all come from some type of background, maybe not racism, but we all have been something in life.
Today, about a month after first stopping by the church, Clay Hite and his 3 sons, now members, are taking a big, important step.
We're going to baptize him in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Ghost, and our precious Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Baptism, he says, is symbolic of a fresh start for him and his family, a journey he's just beginning.
It all unraveled on the night of April 11th, 2011.
I went to bed around 10 o'clock, and at 2:30, I was attacked with boiling grease.
Ryan Hayes had boiled the oil in a pan. Then he calmly walked upstairs where Lindsay was sleeping.
It was 32 steps from my kitchen to my bedroom. He had to purposely walk up and go up 32 steps and actually, douse the grease on me. No pain that you would ever want to experience. I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It was unbearable.
It's all too common in abusive relationships. Lindsay felt trapped, not knowing how to get out until it was too late. She feels her story can help others caught in an abusive relationship.
There is a way out, and you just have to figure it. There is help out there. And I don't want anybody to think that they're trapped, male or female.
The program is a unique way for Fort Campbell to show families they are not forgotten, that grieving sometimes requires a leap of faith, and that Chinook is here to make it happen.
Today, your leap of faith might be being pushed out of a plane, might be, suiting up and taking that leap. And tomorrow, your leap of faith is getting out of bed. It's dealing with the paperwork. It's, dealing with the belongings that came back.
So cool.
Peggy Thompson never dreamed of parachuting, never wanted to. Her son, Kieran, died serving his country. So like so many, when this chance came along today,
I said yes for my son. I felt that my son, Kieran, was giving me an opportunity
an unprecedented opportunity that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And I felt he would have enjoyed that. He would have said, yeah, Mom, go for it.
You might think,
it's pretty funny, cold enough for it.
This was up north, but this afternoon we stumbled upon this scene in the West End, in front of a home on Long Boulevard. Don't think Clay Rochelle just hooked up a hose and hoped for the best. This took science and patience and practice.
You hook 90 psi air in the bottom of it through an air compressor. So 2 nozzles will be mister nozzles that are just mostly water, and your bottom nozzle is your nucleation nozzle. And it's a combination of
nucleation?
Nucleation nozzle. It's a combination of high pressure air and that high pressure water, and I regulate it with a valve.
And thanks to it, snow covers everything, from power lines to trees to cars.
There on the front row is Sergeant Major Satelli, only feet from where his family wait to finally lock in an embrace. But now, Sookie, so calm, so sleepy all day, suddenly realizes who just came home.
This is Channel 4, signing on the air.
Nashville's first television station, built on a hill with high standards. Work harder, dig deeper, get it right. From our hill, we've watched our community grow and change.
It's a miracle!
Obviously, this is a record-setting event.
The people who work on this hill have always known this is more than just a job. We're a part of this place, part of its history, part of its future. Now, more newscasts than ever on more screens, and introducing live mobile streaming video 24/7. But our view of what's important will never change. We know you expect high standards. So do we. Because this is our home.